Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast, the You Deserve More podcast. My name is John.
I'm Ellie.
I'm Teresa.
And I'm Courtney.
So we're going to be talking to you guys just about a bunch of stuff today. But right now I kind of just want to open it up and just see how everybody's doing today. Ellie, anybody else? How are y'all doing? Because I'm super stressed.
Yeah, definitely stressed, but we're almost there. We're definitely almost close to winter break as well as fall break, so we're going to eat lots of turkey and be happy and be fat. So.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I'm looking forward to. But
lots of naps.
Lots of
Naps.
Definitely.
Yes. No class.
No work. No class.
No 7 cups of coffee at 7 o'clock.
Like me right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is there anything else that's bothering anybody other than that, or are we just good overall? Just
pretty good.
Just pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then, other than that, we're just going to start right into it, and we're going to start with Miss Teresa. Miss Teresa is going to be talking about her topic as domestic violence, and she's domestic violence and human trafficking. So we're gonna step into that. So, Miss Teresa.
Take it away.
Hey everybody. So I'm going to be talking about domestic violence. And domestic violence is basically abuse by an intimate partner or by an adult against a child. Some of the stats that I have researched over on domestic violence in the United States, there are 1 in 4 women that are victims of domestic violence.
That hurts me, man.
And women are 75% more likely to be murdered once they leave the relationship. That's really disturbing to me. During my research, I read 2 different cases, one locally in Dawsonville and then another case that happened in Florida where women of domestic violence were actually killed by their husbands. The Dawsonville woman was killed in a Dawsonville fire station parking lot. The disturbing part about this case was that her 5-year-old and her 8-year-old were actually in the car with her.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Oh my god. You think they saw her?
Oh yeah.
They had to have.
They did.
They had to have.
My daughter actually dates a firefighter, and so he heard about this story, and the woman she called 911 and then pulled into the fire station, and the guy pulled in behind her and he got out with a gun, and a firefighter and his wife and his small children were actually standing outside of the fire station in the parking lot talking.
Wow.
And he just walked up to her car and just shot her.
Oh my gosh.
So he did it in
Point
front
blank, like there's nothing. Oh my.
Point blank, just shot her. So that's really heartbreaking. And then on the Florida woman that I researched, she was 33. She had fought for years to get away from her husband, and once she finally did, Florida is actually where she was living when she got killed. I don't know that the paper said where she was originally from, but her husband, estranged husband, actually found out where she lived, and the husband and the father-in-law found her, kidnapped her, and then took her back to where they lived and killed her and buried her on their property. So the mother-in-law, the father-in-law were both involved in hiding her body.
Wow.
So
That's really sad.
yeah.
Well, even in both cases, there's a parent being lost for those children, and
Yeah.
which is terrifying just to think about, because we all have brothers, sisters, and daughters and sons here.
Everybody.
So it's like it's a very real thing, and I think a lot of times when we think of this type of stuff, especially domestic violence, because you see it on television or you hear it on the radio, or you'll see it when you're walking in and out of buildings on little poster boards or whatever it may be. And yes, that's not taking any of the significance away from it. It's more of just we never think that it's actually going to happen to us or in our surrounding areas,
Right.
which is really just wrong.
Yeah.
Like we don't notice it, I think, ever. And I think I think one of you three said it. Most of the time, people that are in domestic violence don't even show anything about it because they are more afraid of what's going to happen rather than having that hope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I can't imagine being in that situation, and much less, God forbid, maybe my cousin or anyone else in my family ever being in there, and anyone else's family. But that's crazy to me, and it seems like it's happening more and more, because I feel like, with all these studies coming out and everything else, like we're getting more statistics on it and everything else, just trying to figure out like what's the best ways to stay away from it and all this other stuff. But I mean, I feel like going back to the aspect of women being more like approachable in that aspect, like they're more, and I don't think it's anything I think it's just that women are viewed as not as powerful as men in a way, which is completely wrong. I feel like if they're probably more powerful than men in some ways, definitely, but other aspects are even more so. But I would say the physical manner, because most of the time it's two men grabbing these women, which is
right.
And the worst case, in the worst situation is like, I'm sure these people would pretend like, oh, I actually know these women, like obviously like I'm going off Criminal Minds because but it's like really realistic. There was this one episode, it's like, oh, they pretend like that's their like brother or sister or their cousin, and then like so other people, like strangers, they would think, oh, they just their friends and family, so they wouldn't even think about, oh, she's in danger, she needs help, because it's like all an act. It's like all these like are a show to fool people thinking that this is okay, but in reality it's not. Like, just hurting people and just like, it doesn't matter physically or emotionally or mentally, it's just not okay. Because at the end of the day, I feel like it's not what the abuser reflect on the victim, but at the end of the day, it's like, how does that person live with themselves?
Oh yeah, the
Right.
after effects, and I think you have some stuff for us on the after effects too, probably. But I can't imagine that, because you're living with it for the rest of your life.
You have to be like unethical to even.
Yeah.
That doesn't even faze you. How no.
The some of the effects that I did or that I researched stated that most women will have PTSD. So it's kind of like, men and women that are coming back from the military. I mean, they literally are affected mentally in that aspect. And then like children that are exposed to marital violence have psychological, emotional, behavioral, social, and academic problems. And the little boys are more likely to follow that trend if they have grown up in it. So
No, I didn't know that, and
I didn't know that.
I think that's really cool, because what we'll be talking about in our second podcast is just a lot of the broken families among America, and just a lot of the corruption within families and everything else, and relationships just in general. But even more so, talking about that is just, that's a huge part where everything else stems from, which is crazy for me to think, that because we undermine it so much. Yes, there's organizations out there that are doing so much good for this world and so much in that aspect, but still I think we undermine it very much. It needs to be cared for a lot more.
I think a lot of it had to do with basically just say in a family situation where the men are abusing the mother. It's a psychological thing, because they're basically brainwashing the kids, the fathers are, or whichever one's the abuser, because it does happen to men too, not as often, but it does happen. They're brainwashing them, and then they're threatening them and things like that, and they're making them think that it's okay. Like, she got out of line, that's why I had to do this,
or like, I love you, that's why I do that. A lot of people I heard that, oh, it's because that's out of love.
Yeah.
But no. Love should not be.
Well, I mean, but the kids at that age don't know that either. It's like,
they don't.
and
They're
that's
learning.
and
Yeah,
that's
they don't know
that's
anything.
the
They
adult
learn
taking advantage of it right
that.
there.
Yeah.
So I mean, which is terrible to think, but I think a lot of it is just going to be raising awareness from here on out.
It's really scary to think about one person's action can contribute to like like generations down upon us, you know, maybe like just one scene,
going down the family tree and everything, just pushing it down.
Like just one scene, like, oh, mommy and daddy are just talking, and this is just the way I would express love to mommy, but then his dad, his son, like, oh, this is how my family is, and it's just like continuous. It's like a domino effect. It never stops.
Yeah, that correlates really with the case that you were talking about, the dad and the son doing it together. I mean, the dad obviously has to have a background with that, or he wouldn't be okay with that.
Right. And the mom has to be messed up too, because she even lied for him.
Yeah.
So that's,
I mean, it just makes you wonder,
disturbing.
like, what's going on between that husband and wife.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, even before that, to their parents, what happened then? So it's just that trickle down situation where almost like it's like you kind of in a way feel like that family's cursed, which they're not. It's just bad teachings throughout a lot of their growth and a lot of their childhood.
Don't even know about.
Just history that's been disrupted in the wrong ways, counteracting and creating a terrible outcome. So, but there's a lot of things that can come good out of this, and bringing people out of this darkness and bring them into hope. Whichever ways that can be, as small as like when you recognize something like this, or when you see like a family member who's going through this, or someone that's just not acting like their usual selves. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can take care of that and become aware of it and just help people. I feel like there's more ways than not nowadays than there was back then.
Right.
Back 20 years ago, even just 10 years ago, like right now, like just on campus. I mean, God help, there's any domestic violence cases right now on this campus. That's if there is, we need help.
Report.
Yeah, we need to report it and do whatever we can. But all around here, especially like just within the library right now or wherever it is, you can see posters and stuff like that on that aspect.
Right.
So, but I think that's pretty much all we have for Miss Teresa's topic, and I think we could give her a little round of applause on that aspect. But we're gonna transition into a little bit of human trafficking, which Ellie's been taking care of this, and her paper has a lot of thorough information on it and everything else.
Well, hey, I'm Ellie. I'll be your host. I'll be talking about human trafficking. So, as we all know, Georgia, Atlanta, woof.
What it
all
is.
That.
What's up?
Yes, what's up? We love that hot life, man. The city life, the concert, all the big artists.
The parties,
rappers.
The restaurants, the food.
Everything, everybody can find something in Atlanta. Fancy day, up in the sundial, music, midtown, or something, something crazy. But while we are constantly being exposed to all these fantastic, amazing aspects of Atlanta, we tend to forget about the dark side, and that's human trafficking. What is human trafficking exactly? Human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, lure, or any kind of abduction, kidnap to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. And this can happen to anybody. You don't have to be a woman. You don't have to be 18. It can happen to anybody. Even kids. That sounds disgusting, but that is the reality. Kids can be sold into minors, like sex servitude, and human trafficking is just a fancy name for like sex enslavement. That word is
I think slavery in general. It's the modern day slavery in an aspect because it's hidden, but it is literally slavery.
It disturbs me even just talking out loud. Like, I'm literally just shaking talking about this. Like, because this is happening around us. Atlanta is 45 away from us, an hour max, but I'm sure everybody have been there. So, like, just some numbers going around human trafficking. It's like there's a $150 billion that's regulating the industry. I honestly don't even know how many zero that is. And 24.9 million people, that includes women, men, even kids, young kids, and not just the United States.
And the 159 is yearly? Or is that just overall?
Overall, reported from the, I believe, I'm sorry, let me look that up. Reported by the International Labor Organization in 2014. So this
it's probably grown, which is terrible.
Yes,
wow.
That definitely is going up.
Gosh.
Yeah, so it's just like it's so close to us, but we don't think about this because another day my friend, a lot of my friends go to Georgia State, and they took a picture of this lady. She's this like really nice church lady. Come on,
I've heard about
church.
That.
We love Jesus. We love God. Like God's supposed to love us and protect us, but these people use something so glorifying and so beautiful to trick us into thinking that, to trick us and lure us into something so awful. Because like I saw this picture, like this lady was asking, hey, would you like to come to church with us? You remember, John?
Yeah, it's like they're a Bible study. Yeah, they invite you to a Bible study, say, hey, like free food's coming.
Yeah.
And like this has happened to a couple of my buddies too who go to Georgia State also, and like they're guys, like they're 6'3", 6'4", pretty big dudes. But they're still asking this.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the Church of the Woman of Christ Church or something like that. Like they're alternating the actual Bible, and they're taking meanings of it, and they're altering the word usage and everything else within it. So I've definitely heard of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the effects are because unfortunately we don't go to Georgia State.
Yeah, we don't.
But our friends do.
Yeah, so that just, I mean, I always thought, like, yes, it is happening between, like, around us and everything, but I never thought how close. Georgia State, all of my friends goes there. Like, imagine one of my friends being taken away. You know, like, it's just it's just crazy. Really.
I was just looking something up real quick, and we were here, and I think, well, if you don't know of it, everyone's football fans in a way, or they have heard of the Super Bowl. But I mean, Atlanta had the Super Bowl 2 years ago or last year. So, and I think that you mentioned, or you are going to mention that Atlanta is one of the biggest places in the world for human trafficking,
because
we have hard.
Number one.
I apologize. It is number one.
Number one.
But it's because of Hartsfield, what I would say, because Hartsfield is one of the biggest airports in the
yes.
world.
Yes, international slavery.
Which is terrible, because literally all you would have to do is just buy a ticket for someone and put them on a flight, and they're anywhere in the world within 12 hours, which is terrifying.
And that's why no one is ever seen once you are sold into the human trafficking. It's rare.
I can't imagine.
Rare. If you do get out of the human trafficking industry, you will be on the news.
It goes back to what she was talking about, that PTSD and everything along the lines. Even though that's, and I think that is committed or concerned or could be committed as domestic violence, considered domestic violence in a way. But I mean, you're definitely going to live with that baggage for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can imagine.
Because you are being forced to, like, excuse my language, and this is very vulgar, but you are forced to have intimacy, have sex with a stranger. Like, imagine that, how much psychological is doing to you. So, like, what I have found, like, on, like, studies and stuff, it shows that, like, people, those victims who are being exposed to sex trafficking, they're usually they are in a very extreme, brutal, and physical abuse. Like, they're constantly working, like, they have no break, like, you know. And the worst case is it's called slavery is because they have no freedom. Like, they don't have their documents, so they can't just, like, oh, I'm gonna leave now, bye. No, it's not that. Like, you are literally, like, somebody else owns you. You're trapped. Somebody owns you. You know what I mean? And, like, besides the psychological effect, it also has serious of health issues, because you guys know STDs, big thing, HIV, AIDS, those, like, because like, these sex trafficking is just definitely more of, like, demand and supply. So people are not treated as a human being. They're treated as profits. They're treated as object. They don't care about protection. They don't care about, like, you know, if you get pregnant, okay, abortion. Like, imagine, like, you know, it's a big thing. It's a big.
Or are they letting them have those children
so they can
raise them to
go right back into the ring
as well?
I never thought about that, but that
because
can be real.
If you think about it, they can't go to the doctors.
They can't.
So how do you get treated if you have a disease?
Exactly, you don't. I don't think so.
Yeah,
and the worst thing is, like, we thought birth and, like, creating human being is a beautiful thing. Sex should be glorified, and, you know, sex is like a beautiful thing, but no, not for this industry. It's just it's cruel, it's brutal.
It almost seems like literally their sex is their work.
Yeah,
it's what
24/7.
It would be viewed as someone's 9-to-5 job, is going and being an accountant. This is their job, which is terrible, because
9 to 5, man. This is definitely a violation of somebody's mental health, their innocence, and their just like mentally, like, you know, mentally stability, because a lot of them have PTSD, definitely. And then those people who make it out of the industry, they usually go through a lot of therapeutic sessions, or they commit suicide.
Yeah.
So they are not a lot of them who actually survives. And the worst thing, those people, those industry, the way I want to talk about the way they lure those girls, especially young girls, into the industry is they portray this beautiful life. Oh, you're gonna be making banks.
Oh, so you're talking about the people trying to get them to work? Okay.
Yeah, they were trying to
Gotcha.
hey, you're gonna making so much money. And those guys, those traffickers are usually very charming. They know how to talk to the girls or even guys.
Yeah.
They know how to pull your heartstring. Hey, are you going through a difficult time? It's okay. I'll give you money. I'll give you food.
Right.
I'll give you this. All these false promises that they will never get. And this is just victim wise. Imagine human trafficking is definitely taking a big toll on victims itself, but also our society as a whole, because we all know human trafficking is illegal, and when human trafficking is flowing around the economy, there's also drugs and marijuana, for example,
for sure,
alcohol, opiates, those are all being abused alongside with human trafficking, because usually obviously you can talk to somebody on the street and lure them into human trafficking, but most of the time people use drugs like opiates and stuff. And then those traffickers will make the victim addicted to these drugs or whatever they're addicted to, maybe money or all these stuff that you're just in this constant,
like a coercive control.
Definitely. You're just in this in this well that you feel no matter how hard you're trying to get out, you just be stuck in there. It's and the statistic is pretty crazy too. It's alcohol, marijuana, and cocaine were commonly abused and each used by more than 50% of victims, and 22.3% use heroin. And here we all know heroin and cocaine is oof.
The hardest.
Heroin,
hardest.
They are life-threatening drugs.
Yeah, and so that's why people don't make it out of these, and all of these people are just going into this business thinking, oh, I'll have a better life, and this is the something that hurts me the most is these traffickers, they target people's innocence, because they wanted was to have a good life, to have someone to love them.
It's that American dream in a way, trying to create and be able to, I want to have this car and I want to retire this way in that aspect.
Yeah, and then people use that against. Imagine someone holding your dream over your head, and saying that, yes, I will give you all of this, but in reality, you would never get out of the trap. It's hurtful. It's, I don't know, I don't even know if there's any word describes how I feel about this industry. It's disgusting, it's cruel, it's brutal. Oh my god, people are not even being treated, And so I know this is there's so much more stuff we need to talk about regarding to these subjects, but if you ever seen someone on the street, if you've ever seen someone on the street and you feel like they are being forced into something they don't want to, obviously, biggest thing is to, if you're not afraid, you can go talk to them, but not still have your distance, because traffickers might be around, and then just ask some questions, just hey, see if they have any physical abuse on their body, because you see, nobody should just be having bruises or broken leg in the middle of the street or something. And also if they have their documentation, passport or all that, something, passport, IDs and
something
stuff.
to recognize who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
As a person.
And feel if they, and then just talk to them and see they're emotional. Are they fragile and sporadic?
Do they feel like they're being watched?
Yes, they're
that.
nervous all the time, because you can tell someone's being nervous when you talk to someone. Yeah. And then worst case, and then just give them this number. This is a hotline to call at 1-888-373-7888. And this is really important, but at the same time, it's a great thing. It's a amazing thing to feel like you need to help someone, but just always remember, you are not obligated. Their life is not in your hand. You should not feel like you're responsible for them. But if you feel comfortable to help them, by all means, you are. If
nothing else, you need to call 911.
Yes, exactly. Feel free to reach out to them. But if you think this is gonna affect and put yourself in danger, just let.
And I know they may have that fear of being no, they'll find out. Yeah. And to a degree, they may. But the ultimate goal is to break that ring,
to help
to
them
break
out
that
of the situation.
to keep them
Yeah.
safe and to break that ring so that they can get out. But
Yeah.
I mean, with all of this said today, I mean, it honestly, it all is super heavy stuff. Like it is stuff that people don't talk about in the world now as much anymore, and when they do, I feel like most of the time it's an argument rather than just a conversation. So
I mean, for those people who are in this situation, if you're under domestic abuse and if you are a victim and you somehow are listening to this podcast, please know that you deserve more, guys. Come on, stay with me. You deserve more.
At least if you're listening to this, shoot somebody an email, do something. People here want to help you, just stuff like that.
We love you. We want you to be happy. You know, like you do not deserve this. Really.
There are local safe houses.
Yes.
I know of one particular one that's here in Dahlonega. It's called NOAH, which is No One Alone.
Wow.
They have a hotline that's 24/7, and that phone number is 706-864-1986.
Ellie, do you want to give that phone number of that hotline one more time?
One more time. This is a hotline to call at 1-888-373-7888. That is a line that you need to call if you feel like, not just you, but like if you're not just a victim yourself, but if you feel like somebody else is in this situation. Please speak up because you can be potentially saving somebody's life. Well, this is Ellie. And that's all I have for you guys as of right now.
Yeah, so that's pretty much going to conclude our first podcast, guys. We appreciate y'all listening. It really was a blast for us. I can't stress enough that this is literally just a conversation among friends more than anything.
Out of love.
Yeah, we have statistics, we have stuff like that, we have information all behind us. It's more or less the fact of like, hey, let's bounce off our opinions, figure out what we can do to make an impact. But really, if I can stress anything while we're closing this, and we'll continue on in the second one, it's just this is to bring awareness, not to make anyone scared. If you're a female, male, whoever you may be, and if you're walking in Atlanta, walking in Dahlonega, don't walk in fear, walk in empowerment. Know that you have something to do. You can be a powerful person in this aspect. It doesn't have to be super physical. It can be just being aware of your surroundings and having your eyes open and being able to help somebody.
Yes.
Right.
So with that being said, I'm John.
I'm Courtney.
I'm Ellie.
Teresa.
And this is
You Deserve More.
Yeah, this is our You Deserve More podcast, and we'll catch y'all guys soon.
You're not alone.